Hello, my name is Fernanda Flores, and I will be talking about the importance of reproductive rights, specifically those related to women, which has been an ongoing issue of controversy in Texas that must be addressed and resolved quickly. But before we continue, I think it is important to define what is meant by reproductive rights. Reproductive rights were first officially discussed in 1998 in the International Conference on Population and Development, held by the United Nations, and they recognize reproductive and sexual health rights to be a key in all individuals' health. These rights included the right to life, the right to liberty and the security of a person, the right to reproductive and sexual health care and information, the right for reproductive health resources and services to not be discriminated when allocating such, and the right to the availability and accessibility of these mentioned resources. Since then, all members of the United Nations, including the United States, have an obligation to respect, protect, and fulfill rights related to sexual and reproductive health, especially those of women. This concept may seem straightforward and simple, but the reproductive rights of women have been threatened and questioned by Texas legislature and its people in the past. Why? Well, while it is true that many agree that medical procedures, doctor consultations, and ultrasounds are a part of women's health, there are also many individuals that question whether birth control methods and abortion should fall under this category. The United States declared that a pregnant woman had the right to decide if she wanted to end her pregnancy, making it legal and protected by the Constitution. However, many Texans do not share this belief and have resulted in actions that restrict accessibility of these services. The best example of these actions that have restricted resource accessibility can be seen in the Texas Senate Bill 8, passed in September of 2021, that stops all public and private health agencies and organizations in Texas territory to provide abortion care to women after being 6 weeks pregnant, making Texas the state with the strictest abortion laws seen in the entire nation, since 6 weeks is a very early time period in pregnancy in which most women are unaware of them being pregnant. This bill and other similar laws passed have had other indirect consequences on women's reproductive rights. As explained by Carrie White, a sociology professor at the University of Texas at Austin, Texas state legislature and policies have been trying to break abortion providers for the past decade, such as Planned Parenthood, which is a national organization providing reproductive health care at an affordable or free cost. This has made it harder for people to obtain birth control and other reproductive health services in Texas because these services are provided by such clinics as well. In other words, the elimination of these providers also results in the elimination of places where women can obtain basic health services, affecting thousands of women, especially those of lower income. Not to mention the fact that the state is severely restricting access to women's rights and their ability to make decisions over their own body by making birth control and abortions for medical conditions inaccessible. Additionally, these decisions have resulted in thousands of women seeking abortion services elsewhere. In fact, Planned Parenthood services located in states surrounding Texas have had an increase of patients from Texas seeking abortions, with a total of a 2,500% increase in Oklahoma, a 1,000% increase in Colorado, and a 100% increase in New Mexico. In fact, on the right of the screen, you can see a map with the median distance to the nearest abortion provider by county. This is like the distance that women would have to travel if they would like to obtain an abortion. And as you can see, the left side of Texas is in dark red, indicating that women have to travel very far distances in order to obtain these services. With all of this in mind, I believe the state of Texas should remove Senate Bill 8. Create more programs and organizations that provide women with the necessary services that protect their reproductive rights and health, and increase the state's funding towards these groups, organizations, and programs. This should enable women from all incomes to receive the same level of health services with no barriers at all that would otherwise require them to leave the state to obtain such. Now, as I mentioned before, this is a controversial issue, and I expect my solution to receive criticism, with most of it revolving around the religious views and cultural views found within the Republican values in Texas. In many religious beliefs, the usage of birth control and access to abortion is not popularly accepted, since many believe it goes against the nature of life or the higher being in which they believe. Additionally, these supporters claim that there are other resources available to women in the case that they do not want to care for the child. However, I would argue that by opening access to these facilities and resources, the state would not be forcing or persuading any individual into utilizing these. They would merely be a resource for women who decide to make use of these services. Additionally, the state would still allow for groups of individuals that are against these decisions to share their thoughts and promote their ideas. There will be no restrictions that stops groups with opposing viewpoints to provide and offer other alternatives to women reproductive rights and their decisions. Finally, it is true that this solution may go against some of the values of many Republicans, but it comes back to destroying the barrier that have prevented women from obtaining these basic rights and liberties that they have over their own bodies, which the United States has agreed to protect several times in the past.